Right.
Hey. I know, right?
I love it.
Hey. All right, y'all. So shout out to all the viewers and listeners. This is a special episode. December 12th, 2020. We dropped the first episode of the Hood Talks podcast. So this is our first year anniversary. As you know, we are in our second season right now, but I just had to do a special episode because I mean, 1 year we done hit some milestones, we done made some accomplishments, we done did some things in that year, and so I'm here with some lovely guests to celebrate, but also uplift a great organization, and we're gonna do something a little different, just shake some things up a little different, but first we're gonna get into this conversation around NLA and NLF. Now, everybody knows me. Y'all know I'm always talking about these programs, right? You always hear me say, yeah, NLA is dope, NLF this, blah, 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 blah. I done talked about it. Y'all know I done did it. But this great guy here, Mr. Dwayne James himself, come on and tell the people what is NLA and NLF.
All right, so NLA is a Neighborhood Leadership Academy. So NLA and NLF is the Neighborhood Leadership Fellows. Both of those programs are a collaboration of Creating Whole Communities, which is part of the University of Missouri St. Louis, and then also MU Extension, which is University of Missouri Extension, which I work for, and then also just community work in the St. Louis area. And then with NLF, we're working with the St. Louis Economic Development Partnership as well. So NLA is a 10-week intensive course where we work with neighborhood leaders on specific projects that they want to work in the St. Louis area. Oh, excuse me, because 2 years ago we went statewide. So it's not just the St. Louis area anymore. It is statewide, state of Missouri wide. And it's been around for years, doing excellent work. Over 400 alumni in the area doing amazing work, either from a community garden to a chess club to running for office, all of these great things. And then from that, NLF was birthed. So NLF is the Advanced Leadership Program. It's going on its fifth cohort this year. Wow. Working with neighborhood leaders in the St. Louis Promise Zone, the federally designated St. Louis Promise Zone, and helping them to address systematic issues that they see day in and day out in the Promise Zone. How do they address them? Through policy, through systematic change. So projects are wonderful and projects are necessary with community development. And then the next stage is how do we come about systematic change to better not just our lives, but also the lives of future residents as well. So that's NLA, NLF in a quick nutshell.
Man, great. Let me say my experience in both programs, even with COVID, because I'm 2020 alum, and we had to deal with the COVID and all of that, but it was just so amazing. But I don't want y'all to take it from me. Don't take it from me. I have Miss Dionne here, who completed NLA recently, correct?
Yes.
And you are now, am I right, in NLF?
Yes. Can I just be like, yes. I'm so happy. Oh my goodness.
I think, Dionne, you're the first one to announce it publicly that you're part of the next year's cohort. I mean, I just think that you just made that announcement. You are an inaugural announcement maker.
That part. Wait, is that legal?
Right.
It's legal now. Only on the Hood Talks podcast.
All right, let me tell you
first. Boom.
I'm so excited. I'm so happy. I don't know what to do. When I opened the acceptance and then I'm get back, I cried. I was like, why am I crying like tears? What am I doing? I was so happy. So happy. So yes.
I totally understand that joy. The joy of being able to be there, but also the intimidation for me. But it ain't about me because it's about you. So tell us, what was your experience in NLA? How was your experience being in
So,
NLA?
Dwayne, you said the word that you used was intense, and it
Yes,
was,
intensive.
but in such a good way. It's like you really have to commit to the work, which is it was so much fun. It was a lot, but it was so much fun because I realized every piece of it could be used to transform my community. And I live in Pine Lawn. So every class that we have, it was like building blocks and building on one another. And then it's like the aha moment for me. I was like, all of this fits together like this great puzzle to
Yes,
create a whole community, Doug. It's like, I
yes,
was like, I
yes.
get it. And I just began to look at things differently. And so I saw NLA online. I just went to the website. I don't know how I got there. And so I was
Yes.
just telling my sister about it. And I was like, look at this program. But I forget how much it costs. But it just was not in my budget, y'all. And so I was like, this sounds good. And it was like in the middle of the night, like 1 o'clock in the morning. My sister called me back and she said, I paid for you to go to that program.
Shout out to y'all sister for taking that, biting that bullet and paying that.
Yeah.
Because yeah, that is amazing. Because
She said,
look,
I looked at that website. I think that's gonna be good for you. You gotta go. You gotta
yeah,
go do it. And
that
so I was just blessed. That was a blessing for me. And everything from what is diversity. I know you taught that class. I'm not just saying that because you are on this call, but that was like a wake up call for me about how limiting I was in terms of how I define diversity.
Hmm.
It's so much more than race and culture. It's age, you know, maybe physical challenges. And today I learned even neurodiversity, different learning styles.
Mhm.
All of that is a part of that. And to make sure that I include everyone at the table. That was like one of my biggest lessons. One of my
that part.
biggest.
I think that is valid information. Because right when we do shout out the word diversity, we only think of skin color, but it
Mhm.
is many more things than that, and all people deserve seats at the table. Um, so
Can I
that
say
that
one thing? Well, more than
sure.
one thing, I'm sure.
Come on.
So if we all don't have sisters like Miss Dionne that are going to pay our way, there are scholarships that are available for NLA. And then we do have amazing partners, stakeholders, and um, sponsors that come in and basically provide that opportunity as well. But shout out to Dionne's sister.
That part. That part. Shout out
Woo-hoo!
to her
Yes.
for real, for doing that. Because yeah, come on, tell us how much does it cost to be? Because I ain't paid either. So thank you for
So you
God.
had a sponsor as well. So in LA, there are early bird specials, a little bit over $300, and then late board, regular fee is around $400 for the in-person sessions. Last couple of years, we did do it virtually. The hope is that we can go back to some type of hybrid or some type of in-person um, sessions in the future. So,
And let
and
me
then
say this.
NLF is free. So that's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
amazing sponsors from Missouri Foundation for Health, Deaconess Foundation, St. Louis Economic Development Partnership, Mental Health Board. I know I'm missing a couple of amazing
You got a lot
sponsors,
of them.
right? But they come in and basically help make sure that that is a free program. And then there's actually stipends for our participants as well.
Yes, that part. You get paid. You get
You
paid.
get paid for your time because we understand that this work takes up your time, takes up some energy. So we pay you for your time that you're learning, that you're engaging, that you're doing that work. So yes.
I'm so excited. I think about it every day. I ain't gonna lie. I just can't wait to January for it to get here. I've already picked my thing I'm gonna do. Economics. I'm just anyway.
You
Go
just
ahead.
in it. And let me say this. For the time commitment, the money commitment, if you have to give up your funds, it
Mhm.
is worth everything.
Yes.
It is. It is
Yes.
really worth everything. And I hope like people listening in here, because again, y'all know I'm a big advocate for everyone being able to uplift their voices and sit at some tables, especially in our community, the Black community. We definitely deserve to get into these spaces. And this is a program that's going to help you navigate that if that's what you're looking to do. Because that's what it did for me. it really taught me like I could still be my authentic self, but knowing these ins and outs of what I might be up against. Knowing the history, that alone, like, people, I've been living and born and raised in St. Louis, but it's some stuff I did not know until I took that class and took that course. Both courses. And just the people too, meeting the people who are already out here doing the work. Shout out to you, Dionne, for being here today. My fella alum. When you become part of the family, you literally become part of the family, because there is a big NLA NLF family, and I appreciate all of them.
So with NLA, I love what Dionne just said. I love what you're just saying as well, that it's basically providing those tools for community development. So we're looking at the community development from an asset-based approach. What does that community actually have at its disposal? What are your strengths that you have within yourself as well? And so how do you use your strengths with the assets of the community to actually go out and do the work that we know is necessary and wanted and from the community standpoint? So how do you engage community to continue to do this work? And then from NLF, the curriculum is there. It is just being around individuals that are passionate about bettering their communities. To me, that's amazing. So I sit back as a facilitator and be like, y'all are dope. Y'all are wonderful. Y'all are doing amazing stuff
during class. It'd be like somebody dope today, like, or just period. Somebody is dope. Because the people were really. I don't know how y'all, like. I feel like it's magic. I'm telling you. Like, how do you get all these good people to come in? But people were always doing amazing things. They were just willing to help each other, willing to be transparent about their process and their journeys, and to really help and work together, partnership.
That's another thing, because I have all these great ideas for my community, and so in a way I felt like I was by myself, like I was alone in this. And then I came to NLA. And I realized there are so many people like me. I mean, there are so many people who want something great for their community. And to see, and it was a Zoom call. And one time, I think it was like 72 people. And then it hit me. There are 72 people in the St. Louis metropolitan area, because we had broken out, I think, who want the same things that I want and who are willing to do the work. And so I am so not by myself. I'm so not alone. And that is beautiful to me.
That part.
I love how, as leaders, we're sometimes put our head down and we're just so focused on getting the work done that we don't see all that's around us or the people that are doing that work. And so NLA, NLF does that. But then shout out to the Hood Talks podcast, and basically showcasing all these amazing organizations, leaders that are doing that work. So you have this source of saying, all right, I'm not alone. These other people are out there doing the work. So shout out, Vanna. Shout out, Vanna.
That is what we've been trying to do since
I love it.
Is letting people know that these things are out here. Tap in, and if the more you tap in, the more we'll see change in our communities. And I say this all the time. I truly believe people do, like, they care. You know how people don't care about their neighborhoods. Oh, people don't care about this. I do think they care. I think that just sometimes we don't know what's out here, and so this is why the Hood Talks podcast. One of the reasons why it was created, to help get that information and uplift that it is. So tap in. But
love it.
No, I really one thing with the podcast and Neighborhood Leadership Academy, I literally, like, I didn't know, like, so I did it backwards, y'all. I did it backwards. I did NLF first, which again, it was very intense, and I was like, woo. And so I was a little nervous about going into NLA, because I'm like, oh man, I can't commit another intense situation like that. But I would start NLA first. You don't have to, but start it first and then go into NLF. NLA is more of a personal. And I was able to really sit down and think personally, what did I want to do? Which, when going into NLF, people were already kind of like had established things that they were doing. And I'm like, I ain't got out here like that yet. Okay, what could I do? But when I got into NLA, I had that opportunity to sit back and think like, what can I provide? And one thing that always is my thing is like, there's not enough voices being heard. And so immediately the podcast thing jumped into my mind. I didn't know how I was gonna make it happen. I just knew that this is what we need. We need the podcast.
You did it.
Podcast. And so it developed. But I appreciate it in LA because I got the opportunity to again personally figure out what I could do. And I think in our communities, we get so caught up on what other people doing, and then we're not thinking about what self could do. And so that I had that space in LA, and it was definitely, it was amazing. It was amazing, but it was also hard for me because I had a baby.
Oh,
doing in LA.
wow.
Yes, I pushed out a whole baby. But I was committed. That's how committed I was to this. I was not gonna stop. I wasn't. But I mean, Dionne, I'm sure you share that same experience, being able to sit back and think about what you personally could do for your community, and having that opportunity to create a project.
Yes.
Enlighten us on what your project is.
So my project is to create the Pine Lawn Community Development Association. And so what that is a neighborhood association that empowers residents, engages residents. And so right now we're in the process of working with St. Louis University's law clinic to do all of our paperwork and everything. And so that was my project. I forgot. I wanted to say something. I forgot what it was, but that was my project. That is my project. So selecting a board, but I learned all of these things through NLA. And even when we had our first meeting, everybody was just talking about some of everything. Like I was telling you, and I started to get roped in. People were talking about what they're gonna do for Thanksgiving, and I'm just listening. And I'm like, no, because what I learned in NLA is you got to bring people back in. You got to. All right, everybody. Thank you for everything that you said. Let's get back to the agenda. I was like, thank you, NLA, because I had gone just off. But so yeah, that was. So I'm excited to start the Pine Lawn Community Development Association. And that's what I wanted to say. I realized through NLA my learning style or leadership style. I forget what it's called.
Leadership, right?
I am a learner. Oh my goodness, it makes so much sense. Because I always want to figure out why. So why is Pine Lawn the way it is? Why do we have so many vacant houses? Why is our housing stock the way it is? Why is it a primarily Black community? Why? And so then I go and seek it out and learn and solutions and all of that. It's all for a reason, because then I can go out and share with my community. This is why this is. So there's nothing wrong with wanting to learn, because that's who I am. Yeah. And I guess I didn't realize that it was a plus. I just thought I was just a nerd and just always trying to read and learn everything.
That's just that goes back to what Dwayne was saying about learning your skills and your leadership skills, and what your strengths.
And it makes sense.
It does make a lot of sense, because with me in that process, I learned that I take responsibility very seriously. I'm a problem solver, which of course, right, I come up with solutions very well.
The podcast,
right?
exactly.
The podcast. So yeah, I definitely think that part of NLA and NLF, because we did it in NLF too, I believe, is very impactful, because you get to know who you are and what your strengths are, and you can use those strengths to make some moves. And I think that was just, and then the weaknesses too, learning what your weaknesses is, not necessarily a bad thing, right? But hey, your strength might be one of my weaknesses.
Exactly.
So how can we partner together?
Not a weakness, just not as strong as a strength. So I'm channeling my co-facilitator, Claire Ripple, in here, saying that it's not a strength, it's not a weakness. It is just not as strong as a strength. As your other,
my strong suit.
And I love that too, because I don't think it said weakness, but it was like, it's okay to be all of these things that I am. And it makes perfect sense. I have to tell you, when my husband and we first got married, I wanted to take a class and we didn't have any money. I was like, I have to take a class. I have to learn something. And he was like, "We're broke. What are you?" But I took my little money and took a class at UMSL because I just had to be learning
You had to
something.
learn.
You had to learn something. Ain't no wrong with that.
It makes sense now. I embraced it. I'm good.
Yes, that part. Embracing it and
Mhm.
doing what you can to change in the community.
Yes.
So I'm just going to do a quick plug. Clifton Strength Finders assessment.
Yes.
That's what we're
It's
talking about.
worth it to go ahead and do that assessment to see exactly what are your strengths, what are those natural born talents, and then going out and doing the work to actually develop those talents into your true strengths and making sure that you're working with people and collaborating with people. That if you're one of your top strengths isn't educator, I know who to call. I just know who to call to go ahead and basically like this is your baby.
Right.
This is what you do. This is
Right.
not what I do.
Yeah,
So.
that part. Which makes it easier. It makes it more
Right.
easier. So you like, I think there's times, like you said, where leaders are just so stuck and focusing on all of what they had to do. And when there comes a time where they can't fulfill maybe that space, and they're like, but if you have your network and you know your people around you, like in your community that's also doing the work, you can reach out and say, hey, I'm slacking over here in this area. Can you help me? And things are going to keep getting pushed, because I think that's another thing with NLF that I love is that you talked about how you can work together,
Right.
and not necessarily having to be alone. So NLA was more of like focus on your project, what you want to do, but NLF took it to the whole nother level of now how do we come together collectively to make some stuff shake, which is important.
Yeah.
Collectively is definitely important in our communities. Okay, we need to do that a lot more. Come together collectively. Well, I appreciate you all coming and joining me on this special segment because I had to just uplift NLA and NLF because again, thanks to NLA, the Hood Talks podcast was birthed. This yes, it was. And it came about, and we've been pushing along ever since. And so you are welcome to join us in this conversation, Dwayne, or you can definitely go because I know you got some things going on over there. But we are going to switch it up a little bit, shake things up a little bit because this is a special episode, right? And I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna let go my mic. I'm gonna let go my hosting, and I'm gonna let Miss Dionne go ahead, take over. She's going to start asking me questions, and I have to answer them.
So. All right, I'm going to drop off, but thank you. Lovely. Thank you for letting me be a part of this, and I can't wait to watch this next part. I can't wait. I'm going to love it. So, all right, take care.
All right.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate both of you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Sis. There you go. I'm like, where'd she go? There she goes.
Yes, I get to interview you. Oh my goodness.
Me.
I love it.
Podcast. Look at that.
Right. This is amazing. Okay.
Go ahead, sis. I'm ready.
I actually wrote some questions down.
I know, because you are a journalist.
Yes, I received that. I'm telling you, it comes from just being nosy. A journalist is just somebody who is nosy and has writing ability. That's my definition.
That's what's up. That is what's up, though.
That's it. You just ask a bunch of questions and write it. You write about it. But so I'm going to ask you some questions.
Yes, I'm ready.
So I'm gonna start with, because you said you had a baby while you were in NLF.
I found out I was literally when I was, the NLF program, you have to do an interview.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in my interview, and a couple of days later, I found out. I did my interview. A couple of days later, I found out I was pregnant.
Wow.
Didn't know just yet that I was accepted into the program.
Uh-huh.
And when I got into the program, I was like, I'm literally pregnant. What am I gonna do? How am I gonna do this? What? This was my second child. It wasn't even the first. So I still had a toddler.
Oh,
pregnant, and then in during the process of NLF, pandemic hit, which was helpful for me because I didn't have to wobble to those in-person meetings.
Right. So see how God works stuff out. You just work that out for you.
It worked a little bit for me. But yeah, I gave birth during NLF.
Wow. So when you talk about your children and you talk about the community and the work that we're all willing to put in, what is your hope for your children? What type of community do you want to see for them? What is your vision?
Um, I hope that they have no limitations. I hope that they can thrive and flourish in whatever they choose to do, their desires. And when I say no limitations, I mean, because one thing you hit on really, you talked about learning abilities. I think people take that type of thing for granted and don't really think about that. But there is a lot of people out here with different learning styles in our school system. Who don't get me started?
Yes, yes, yes. Oh my goodness. Yes.
They definitely like to have you checked in a box, and if you don't, then something is wrong. So I think about not only that, the school and her learning abilities, but the color of their skin, whatever they just desire. I hope that nothing holds them back to making that happen for them. Whatever their hopes, dreams, and desires are, like they have full access and resources, they have resources to make those things happen. They're not limited by education. They're not limited by the area they decide to live in. They're not limited by the color of their skin. None of that. The choices the people who they choose to love, none of that.
Right.
Like they are literally not limited, and they can flourish and thrive.
I love that.
That's my hope.
And
I hope I get to see it. I do.
Yes.
I hope I get to see it.
We're gonna work toward it. We're gonna work toward it.
That
That's
part.
for sure. So thank you for that. That's a community I want to see too.
Yeah, I know, right? Man. I know. It's like we've been fighting for how long for this?
Right, for just
like, come on, just give it to us.
It's gonna happen. I'm believing. I'm optimistic.
I'm with you. You gotta have. I feel like you have to have some type of hope, because if you give up, then you're never going to keep striving.
Right.
So you have to have hope that there's better. There's going to be better. So, I mean, the people, and I think when we have to look at our history, I'm sure, Dr. Martin Luther King in his space was like, he dreamed that it's going to happen.
Yes.
So, it might not been exactly what he dreamed, but he got a piece of that, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, you got to have some type of hope that, to stay, especially in this work, in community work.
Yes.
You with me, right, sis?
Yes, you got it.
Community work, you have to have and keep on to that hope. So
that's right, because change will come. And actually, this podcast, I believe, is part of that change. It's part of it. It's part of it. So how do you think your podcast and what it means and what it does will impact our community? Or what do you want it to be?
I just wanted to really give people a space to be their authentic selves, share their experiences, and bring awareness to, there's a lot of data out here, right? There's a lot of data. There's a lot of data, but I want to put the faces to that data. I want to put the voices to that data. And I also want, people to inspire people, to not give up, to keep pushing. I want to give people hope. I do. I want to give people hope. I want people to listen to the podcast and maybe find or get a gem from this, and that sparks something in them to want to do something in their community.
Wow.
Or I want to spark something in somebody and be like, that resource, I need to use that. Let me go tap into that and get what they need. So I want to help fulfill people. That's my goal here.
Wow. Now, who inspires you? Who are some people you admire?
The everyday person. They do. Everyday people that just keeps going, knowing what we up against, knowing what we dealing with. They inspire me, because it can get really tough being out here in this world. So I don't look for people who, in a sense, have any type of fame or, status. No, I look at the everyday people that's sitting out here hustling every day to just make it one day at a time. That's who inspires me.
That is awesome. And then it makes sense, because when I watch the podcast and you're speaking to, I guess, politicians, elected officials.
Yeah.
But there is a feel to it of you almost kind of forget the title of the person.
Yeah.
And I think they begin to relax when you watch the podcast. You know, the Ebonics start coming out, and yeah, I'm
The
like,
real and raw. The real and raw come
that's
out, right?
it. And
They
I
be
love
their
it.
authentic selves. And that's what's going to inspire people,
Yes.
especially to these politicians, because that was one of my goals too. Is like, how do we bridge the gap between community and leadership? And we're talking about elected officials. Is because I think sometimes we see them as these people with these titles, right? And we see them as maybe these superheroes who's going to change the whole world for us. But they're not. They're literally just regular people who and they said that on the podcast. They just form this position to want to make change in their community. And I think some of them get lost in that and they get, big-headed. But I do think for the majority of it, people go in trying to make changes for their community. And they are people.
Right. And so I appreciate that when I watch them, watch your podcast.
Yes.
It's like, because people begin to relax. And so people see them, be like, I can do that. They sound just like me. They look like me.
Yes.
Yeah. The mayor, she inspired me.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. That was amazing. I got a whole bunch of questions. You answered all of them in some kind of way. What did you learn from your first year doing the podcast? What name something that you learned?
Something that I learned doing the podcast is that you don't have to talk when people are passionate about something. So learning to put people in the spaces of where they are passionate, they gonna talk.
Yes,
they gonna talk.
You're right.
Yes. So that's kind of what I've learned to navigate it, so I won't have to. Because that's one thing too. I tell people all the time, I'm not a podcaster, and I know people probably think like, "Oh, girl, you always out here in the light. You like it.
I'm looking at you.
You gotta like it, right?" But really, in honesty, I don't like public speaking. I don't like talking. But again, I saw something that needed to happen, and I had to put myself out there, and it's been therapeutic for me also because, again, it was a process for me. It's like a full turnaround. I did have an opportunity when I was much younger to go into journalism. And I was thinking about like radio and personality and all of that. I did it. I did a voiceover. I listened back to that voiceover and I did not like my voice. I walked out on that. I left that and I kept moving and going. And then I got into survival mode of life and all of that. And just trying to make a living, right? So I forgot about that. I didn't even think about it. And now here it is, a full circle around, and I have this opportunity, but not only to do that, but also now to be able to help and give back to my community. So, excuse me. It's definitely like a whole passion in me really walking into my purpose. Because one thing I am very passionate and really care about is my community and my people. So I'm humbled and grateful, and it's like I said, it's therapeutic because I still have those thoughts and those, like, oh, you saying this wrong, you ain't saying that right, you should be saying it like this. But again, I'm providing a space where people can be their authentic selves by being my authentic self.
Exactly, and don't change who you are.
That part.
And now I'm gonna go back to the journalism mode. You stay who you are. So what made you get involved? So you did NLF first. So what made you even consider it?
So I did a shout out to Flourish. They're another great organization who kind of took my hand in the speaking engagement thing and got me out here and to speak up and advocacy. And so I was doing the Racial Equity Summit, and I was speaking there with Flourish. And I had kind of like what you said. It was like late at night, the night before my speaking engagement. I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw something that said NLF, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds really cool," And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna fill it out." I filled it out. The next day, at my speaking engagement, Claire walked up to me after I did my little spiel, and she said, "I have a program for you. It's NLF." And I said, "I already applied for that."
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so I had already kind of been in the space of really wanting to get into, leadership and being impactful to my community. And so when that happened, again, it's like I definitely believe in the universe. Things happen for a reason, right?
Yes.
I was like, this is it. This is my opportunity. So that's where it was for me. And I could not turn it down, even when I was pregnant.
Right.
I'm like, I love it.
I love it. I love it. So
Yeah.
what? Okay, so this is your second year. So this
Yes.
is gonna be my last question, I think, because
Yes,
time.
we can make this
So
one.
what do you want to accomplish? What is some goal that you have for this year for the podcast?
I don't really have. Honestly, I'm not really setting goals.
Okay.
Not like necessarily like. I'm just hitting the milestones. I'm letting it come as it goes. One thing I'm going to say that I just want to do and accomplish is make sure to keep uplifting community voices, and specifically those who aren't as engaged or who society has kind of like just pushed to the side. Other than that, I'm really taking this ride and just enjoying it. Even when I first started, I never thought it would be where it is now. I didn't plan much. I just kept going. And that's what I want people to know. Like, get out here and just keep going. Jump out here. Whatever you want to do, jump out there and just keep going. And yeah, that's kind of what it's been for me. I just kept going. When it got hard, when I was unsure, when nobody was like answering my emails, when I didn't know what I was doing, I just kept going. I kept going. And one thing I'm learning is don't be afraid of a no.
Explain that a little bit for us. Don't be afraid of no.
I think people sometimes, and I do this a lot too, like I overthink a lot of things, or I feel like I have to prove something to get a yes. But I think just asking, being open to just say, I need this, or I want to do this, or I'm trying to do this. Get out there, ask. And if somebody says no, it is what it is. Move on, keep going, go find somebody else. Don't let that stop you.
I love it. I love that you went for it. I love that you had an idea and you just didn't say, oh, that's a nice idea and let it ride. You actually, like you said, got out there. And so I just want you to know that all these journalism skills I have, that I'm put them to use for the podcast in any way that I can. So you let me know what I can do to push it forward.
And that is so what's needed.
This is how it works, y'all. This is how it works. NLA, NLF, our community, everybody has a gift and a talent.
Yes.
And just, I want to learn. I don't know nothing about a podcast. I tell y'all, it took me, we ain't gonna even talk about how I got on here.
I don't know nothing either. I'm telling y'all, I'm learning as I go. I tell people all the time, like, if you want to start a podcast, just start it. And that's what I did. I just literally started. And sometimes I'll be like, should I call this a podcast or a TV show?
It's whatever you want it to be. But I am here to help you. We're going to stay in touch.
Yes.
However I can help you.
I mean, we got to now.
Right. We family, huh?
We family now.
That's right. That's another thing. It's a family. I love it.
Well, thank you for joining me and having the conversation around your experience. And thank you for putting me in the hot seat. I appreciate it.
That was fun.
Thank you all who have tuned in and listened to this special segment. Shout out to December 12th. Again, a year ago, the Hood Talks podcast first ever show was dropped. And we've been rolling ever since. Yeah, we gonna keep rolling.
That's right.
We are now in season 2. So we keep rolling. We're going to keep bringing all of the great resources. We're going to keep having those tough conversations, but needed conversations. And we got work to do. So we ain't stopping. We just celebrating.
That's right. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Celebrate. All right, y'all. We gonna get here. Y'all make sure y'all have a good holiday. Be safe.
Yes.
We will see y'all in 2022. We dropping January 8th live show around families and their traumatic birthing experience. That's the conversation we're having. That's where we're continuing our season 2. But again, make sure y'all have a safe, joyous holiday. If you celebrate, if you don't, at least eat good and enjoy your family. Right? At least eat good.
Right.
And enjoy your family.
Thank you.
House Podcast, where community voice is celebrated, elevated, and uplifted. Join us for our next show.
A lot of people out here, and been in that situation, and pretty much after a certain point, they just go to the street, and that there is like, I mean, what do you expect the person to do? Right. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to do this or that, or I don't know how to.
Basically, you don't know how to really, in a sense, think for yourself.
Exactly.
So you're trying to, you're going to learn
in a productive way.
In a productive way, right? I'm gonna say when you get to the streets, you're gonna gravitate to what is quick and easy, in a sense.
Exactly. Or I'm gonna gravitate to shit. You gotta eat. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I gotta make something happen. Shit, I'm hungry. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's raining.
I'm gonna say it might be cold.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I gotta get up out of this.
Right. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page and also follow us on all our social medias. And you can find all of that information at www.thehoodtalks.com.